Hi there, Aquaba, and welcome. I have been craving some tuna pie, so today I'm bringing you along as I make them. Hopefully, by the end of this video, you'd be tempted to try them too. They're super simple to make and absolutely delicious. So let's get started. In a large bowl, I'm adding 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and if you're trying to cut back, you can swap it up for some wheat flour. It works just as well. I also added half a teaspoon each of onion powder, garlic powder, and salt for some extra flavor here. Now I'm just giving it a good mix to make sure everything is well combined. Next, I'm adding in 227 grams of unsalted butter, which is the same as 1 cup. This will give the dough that rich, flaky texture we're looking for. And with my hands thoroughly clean, I'm going in to mix the butter into the flour. And then I'll rub it until the mixture looks like small crumbly pieces. You see it here in a little bit. These steps help create that perfect flaky texture. So I'll keep mixing it until it looks something like this, well incorporated, with the butter evenly distributed throughout the flour. And when you give it a quick squeeze just like this, it should hold its shape but break apart easily. Okay, next I'll add in chilled water a little at a time, just enough to bring the dough together. And I'm being careful here because I don't want to add too much water and make the dough too sticky. As I mix, I will gently press everything together, but I'm making sure not to knead it. Yeah, overkneading it can develop too much gluten, which would make the crust tough instead of light and flaky. So I'll just give it a mix until the dough holds together when pressed, nothing more. I will then transfer the dough onto a plastic wrap and wrap it tightly, and then it goes into the fridge for about an hour and a half to firm up the butter, making the crust flakier and easy to handle. Next, let's make the filling. It's pretty easy. I used a bit of the oil from the tuna and added some chopped onions to it, letting them saute until soft and fragrant. And since I'm using canned tuna, I don't need to cook the filling for long. It will heat through again when we bake the pies. I just want to blend the flavors and season everything well without drying out the tuna. So I seasoned the tuna with a little of onion and garlic powder, black pepper, and shrimp seasoning. The tuna already has a lot of sodium, so I'm skipping any extra salt to keep it balanced. A quick mix and the filling is ready to go. But I'll let the filling cool down completely before we move on to putting the pies together. This is important because adding the warm filling can soften the dough too much, making it harder to handle. And it's been an hour and a half, so now it's time for the fun part. You can get creative with how you want to shape your pies, but I'm sticking to the traditional way for this batch. So using my dough cutter here, I'll cut the dough into manageable pieces so it's easier to work with. Okay, so once we have that out of the way, I will dust the surface with some flour to keep the dough from sticking. And then using my rolling pin here, I will press down and roll forward and back to stretch the dough out evenly. Just back and forth, just like this. No need to apply too much pressure. Once the dough is stretched out nicely and even, grab something to cut out your crust shapes. You can use a pastry cutter, a round cookie cutter, or anything you have that works best for you. Now scoop out a generous amount of the pie filling and place it right in the center, just like this. Make sure not to overfill so the edges can seal properly. Next, I'll rub a little water around the edges of the pie crust. This helps as a sealant to keep everything tightly closed while baking. I will then flip it over and use my fingers to press down along the edges, making sure it's tightly sealed. And just like that, done. 1 down, 10 more to go. I got 11 pies from this recipe, but the final count depends on how big or small you make them and the shape you go for. I will show you one more time, but if you've got it down, feel free to skip ahead. And friends, growing up in Ghana, meat pies were my go-to after church, a quick satisfying snack before lunch. Yes, if you know, you know, and nothing paired better with it than fun eyes, especially the vanilla flavor. that creamy cold ice cream with the warm flaky pie. Yes, it was the perfect treat. I mean, it was such a simple pleasure, but it always felt like a treat. After church, you'd see the street vendors at almost every corner, and resisting the temptation was nearly impossible. And the best ones had the perfect balance: flaky on the outside, soft on the inside, and packed with so much flavor. And meat pies are super popular in Ghana, and while tuna isn't the most traditional filling, it's a great alternative. Normally, you would find beef inside. Their seasonings are so flavorful, but honestly, I do just love to switch it up. And next, using a fork, I will poke a few holes into the pies to let the steam escape while baking. This step just helps prevent them from puffing up too much or bursting open in the oven. Now I'll brush on some egg wash. This step is what gives the pie that beautiful golden color and slight sheen once they're baked. It also helps with even browning, making them look as good as they taste. You can skip it though, but your pies might not have that nice glossy finish. So I'll bake these at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 to 25 minutes here, or until they turn a beautiful golden brown. But if your pies are a bit bigger, they might need a little extra time, so just keep an eye out to make sure they don't brown up too much and become hard. And here we are after about 25 minutes, golden brown and absolutely beautiful. So I'll let them cool down a bit before biting into one because they are piping hot inside. And just look at that, perfectly baked with a flaky crust. You already know this is going to be so good. And now let's just pop one open and see what's going on inside, and just look at all of that deliciousness, the flaky crust, the rich and flavorful filling. This is exactly what I was craving for. And thank you so much for watching, friends. Please give this video a thumbs up. Let me know if you have any questions, and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Until next time, stay safe and blessed always.